अलिकति दुख्छ बा मतिर हेर्नुस् आँखा खोल्नु न ल घाँटीमा औषधि आयो है हो ल निल्ने ल
Famous for its beautiful trekking routes and its colorful prayer flags flowing in the wind. Nepal, a country that has faced many struggles over the past years. Sadly, most commonly known for the devastating earthquake of 2015. It killed nearly 9,000 people, injured 22,000 more, and left families without a home. Squeezed between China's Himalayan region and India's plains, Nepal lies in a UV-heavy zone of the Earth. Due to this, 40% of Nepal's population suffer from cataract, a disease that causes clouding of the lens of the eye. Although surgery against cataract is cheap and a common operation in economically developed countries, it is hard to be performed in countries like Nepal. Without surgery, the affected lose their vision more and more until they go blind. This is me, Allison, at 2 p.m. at the Zurich airport in Switzerland. Together with Valerie, I boarded a flight to Nepal, where we would be spending 2 weeks.
And how do you feel about our upcoming trip?
Nervous but excited. The purpose of our trip was to visit Dr. Sanduk Ruit and the Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu. More importantly, we wanted to visit and learn about the projects which the Vision Himalaya Foundation is involved in. For 2 weeks, we followed the projects and teams of surgeons across Nepal and got to see the impact made in the lives of various Nepali people. This is Thomas Büchli, the president of the Vision Himalaya Foundation. It was through him that we were introduced to the work which the foundation supports in Nepal.
Was ist das Ziel oder mehrere Ziele von Vision Himalaya?
Vision Himalaya tut Geld beschaffen, hier in der Schweiz, in Europa, um die augenmedizinischen Fachleute in Nepal in ihrer Arbeit zu unterstützen, damit sie können sich dort für ihre Landsleute und für Menschen, die zum Beispiel am grauen Star erkrankt sind, zu unterstützen, zu operieren.
After a 16-hour flight, we had finally arrived in Nepal. Tired but excited, we headed to our hotel for a good night's sleep. The next morning, we prepped our gear and headed to the Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology to learn more about what it is and what they do. This is Dr. Sanduk Ruit. He and his team opened the institute 23 years ago with the goal to prevent and control blindness in and around Nepal. Ruit is a famous Nepali eye surgeon. He developed and simplified cataract surgery. Nowadays, thanks to his simplification, the surgery costs as little as $50. We sat down with Dr. Ruit to talk about the projects that we would be visiting in the following 2 weeks.
What do you like best about this kind of like work and what you do?
We are all in the business of restoring sight of people, and one of the best things that's happening in Tilganga is that we are trying to deliver high quality eye care and making it cost effective, and also making it sustainable for people to run And on top of that, we are able to deliver this in very remote, very difficult places, not only in Nepal but outside Nepal also. And we've been doing it in many Asian countries. For example, we started, with Vision Himalayas. We started in Tibet and in Ladakh, in Myanmar, and Indonesia, many other places. Yeah.
Maybe what's kind of the worst thing about it? Like, what's the thing you wish would be a little different or could improve? Or?
Yeah. I think there are two issues. One is when you come across a patient who has blindness which you cannot do much about, incurable blindness, then it really frustrates you. And second is when you have lack of resources, you can't do much when you have. But I think our partnership with Vision Himalaya is almost about more than 20 years, and we started from training a few doctors in Tibet, and now we are on to training more doctors, providing equipments, and setting up community eye centers in Swambhu, in Jiri, and maybe in the future in Melamche, and we also get help to support doctors in Ladakh, in Myanmar, and also provide equipments to them through the help of the Vision Himalayas. And the other thing that we get from the people in Switzerland is through the Vision Himalayas is we are doing, along with Vision Himalaya, we are doing rebuilding after the great, the serious tragic earthquake. And we're doing in Giranchor, we're doing rebuilding of about 150 houses which have been destroyed totally during the earthquake.
Yeah, that's amazing work.
Good.
We then learned a little bit more about the Tilganga Institute itself. The eye hospital works in various fields of ophthalmology. Ophthalmology is a branch of medicine concerned with the study and treatment of disorders and diseases of the eye. Not only does the Tilganga provide general services against eye conditions or diseases, but it is also the only eye bank in Nepal. Every day, patients get treated against various eye conditions and hundreds of new eye lenses and prosthetic eyes are produced. But most importantly, many people undergo surgery against cataract. This is Antala Maya Gopali. She lives in a rural area in the outskirts of Kathmandu where she works as a farmer. On one eye, cataract causes her to be blind. This impacts her daily life immensely due to the inability of working properly. To get to the Tilganga hospital, she and her grandson had to undertake an exhausting 7-hour journey by foot. A long day was awaiting her, but coming here was her only opportunity to gain her sight back. We were able to follow Antala during this process. This day in particular attracted even more people than usual. The hospital was having a cataract surgical workshop. This workshop was a day where hundreds of people from outside of Kathmandu got treated against cataract. Before the surgery, however, Antala had to undergo various investigations, tests, and preparations. The first step is to register at the reception of the hospital. Then, she needed to go through a general eye test to determine how blind she has become. This whole process requires patience, as a lot of waiting is involved. For people from rural areas, going to the hospital and undergoing surgery can be quite scary. Most of them have never seen a hospital, and some don't think that the surgery can help. It takes a lot of courage for them since they don't know what exactly awaits them. When Antala had finally gone through all the pre-checkups, she was ready for the surgery. She changed into a hospital robe and took off her jewelry. She was then led into the operation theater. We were allowed to follow into the surgery and observe the procedure. The theory behind the cataract surgery is actually quite simple. The patient receives local anesthesia but is fully conscious. The surgeon makes a small incision into the cornea of the eye and the from cataract cloudy lens is removed. They then replace it with an artificial one. These artificial lenses are so-called intraocular lenses and are produced by the Tilganga itself. Once replaced, the small incision is closed and the eye is covered with padding. This protects the eye from bright light and prevents the patient from scratching it. The surgery usually takes no longer than 10 minutes. The surgeons work incredibly hard and have hundreds of these surgeries on a workshop day like this one. This requires them to be highly concentrated throughout the entire day. Antala's eye patch was put in place and she was now resting and recovering. In the meantime, we had the chance to talk to Rita Gurung, CEO of the Tilganga Institute. She told us about what the last few years have been like and what she's especially proud of.
The thing about this job is we can make a difference in somebody else's life by doing not a big things, but even small things we do. We do the cataract surgery in a few minutes, but maybe you have seen few patients who couldn't see at all, and then the patient was through the operating room and all, and the next thing you can see. So this kind of difference we can make to the patient, and that one day you couldn't see and next day you can see, or she can see, makes so much of difference in the life of that particular patient and for the family and the community and the nation as a whole.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yes, maybe, I mean, it is not a very easy work. Definitely it is hard work and lots of challenges, but these are the things which keeps us going. You want to do it more.
That's amazing. I mean, what's the worst thing about it?
Worse? Yeah, there are lots of worse things as well. It's not that it is full of roses, there's lots of, because I am entering into the part of my life where I cannot just focus myself in the clinical work. I have to do so many administrative work. I have to manage lots of people, and and managing people are the most difficult part. So because this is a growing organization, it's a relatively new organization. People are relatively young working here, except me, of course. Everybody has got their own aspirations, and you cannot do everything what the patient, what the staff wants. So managing people would be one of my challenges, and that is not my big strength.
After Antala had rested for a couple of hours, the doctors removed the eye patch. It was a nerve-wracking moment to watch, since now it would be revealed if the surgery was successful. However, there was no reason to worry. The checkup results were positive. The doctors successfully restored Antala's vision. The workshop made surgery for hundreds of patients like Antala possible. In just that one day, the Institute improved Antala's life quality immensely, as well as many others, through a relatively small procedure. Even over a short amount of time, it's easy to see the vast impact that the Tilganga Institute has on the community in Nepal. Without it, many people would remain blind forever. In the following days, we headed to the rural regions of Nepal to learn about the various projects that the Vision Himalaya Foundation and the Tilganga are working on together. Our first destination was Giranchar. Giranchar is one of the areas that was heavily affected by the devastating earthquake of 2015. Many families had lost their homes and have been living in tents since. We were welcomed by a group of dedicated and motivated men who told us a little more about their project in Giranchar.
Namaste, I am Prasan Thapa. I am a member.
With financial support from Vision Himalaya, they are going to build 150 houses with access to running water for 150 families. The plans made by volunteer architects are finished, the plots are chosen, and the building of water tanks has started.
actually, the whole land that belongs to the 45 household, and what they are planning, they are going to divide this household for the each people, and they are waiting for the the government process. I mean the registration process of the land for the each households. So it's almost end process. I think it takes only the few weeks. Then they can start building construction project.
They also explained to us that they want to empower and achieve more equality for women. To head in that direction, the ownership of the houses will be given to the woman of each family. The men strongly believe that change doesn't necessarily have to start in big cities, but may start in a rural place like Yuranchao.
Bye-bye.
Our next destination was Chiri. It would be the most impressive part of our trip. Chiri lies 7 hours outside of Kathmandu in a very rural region in the mountains. It is one of the places with a running community eye center. Community eye centers are small eye clinics in remote areas of Nepal. The clinics enable even people from these remote regions to visit an eye doctor and receive general eye care. With the help from Vision Himalaya, these clinics are being built all over Nepal. The next one in a place called Malamchi is already in the planning stage. Next to the community eye center in Chiri, there is a regular hospital. There, the Tilganga Institute, with support from Vision Himalaya, organized a basic eye care training for female community health workers. The women came from small villages to learn how to detect diseases of the eye. The goal of this training was to have at least one woman per village be able to provide health consultation so that diseases don't go undetected. This allows the women to gain independence and have their own income, which is still rare in those rural areas. It was a joy to join these women during their training, as they were all highly motivated to learn even while taking care of their children. A big sense of community was present. After another long trip, we arrived at our last destination, Dolakha. The project we visited there was held at the Community Eye Center. Over the next 2 days, a mobile eye camp will be taking place here. A mobile eye camp is the same as a cataract surgical workshop at the Tilganga. What is special about these camps, however, is that they take place in unconventional places like monasteries, makeshift tents, or as in this case, at community eye centers. We got to know the surgery team, and together with them, we spent the evening before the big day of surgeries. The following morning, we got up at 3 a.m. to join the surgeons as they went on an early hike to Bhimeswar Temple, 2 hours away from Dolakha. Bhimeswar Temple houses a statue of the Hindu god Bhimsen. Once on top of the mountain, the surgeons prayed to the gods for the coming afternoon of surgeries. Back at the Community Eye Center, hundreds of patients from all around the region had arrived for the mobile eye camp. Pre-checkups and preparations on them for the surgery had already started. One of them is Dil Bahadur Dauki, who has cataract on both eyes. He has been completely blind for the past 3 years. At first, the atmosphere at the eye center seems very chaotic and messy, but if you look closely, the whole process is up to the highest standards of medical procedures. On the first day of an eye camp, the surgery team practices surgery on all of the patients. patients then used the remainder of the day to rest and recover. After hundreds of cataract surgeries and a long and busy day, we headed back to the hotel for our last night in Nepal. The following morning, the patients returned for the post-operative evaluation. It was an extremely exciting day for us, for surgeons and patients alike. The patients were seated on benches and waited patiently for the doctors to remove their eye patch. It was a very touching process to watch, especially in the case of Dil Bahadur Dauki. After years of complete darkness, this is the first moment where he's able to see again. We were able to see firsthand what amazing work Vision Himalaya supports. And this summer, something special was happening for the foundation.
excited to show you more. Dank ist nicht so Ideensysteem, was jetzt das Robin Food macht,